Welcome back, YouTube. We are in for another glute session. I did say that I'm not going to do too many glute sessions, but unfortunately you're just going to have to deal with it because it's all I train. But I'm sure that many of you can take away from it. And even if you are a guy that's training, a glute is a great muscle to have, so please take that and run with it. And most women, even if you're not a competitor, actually find it quite nice when a man has a bit of a juicy bottom. So train them. They're not girly lifts. I tell you what, you probably find that you're pretty weak at them, so your other half probably better at doing them anyway. Don't let that happen. No. So, glute training. We're going to go through today my 3 top lifts for glute development. If you actually check my Instagram, I'm actually pretty proud of my glute transformation. We'll probably put a little a picture of that transformation. That's actually just 6 months. I'm not on any anabolics, so everything that I've done has been natural. It's been at a time when I've had to travel a lot more than what I'd ever traveled before when it comes to supporting my competitors abroad. I've ate my meals, I've kept my routine, I've slept well, I've kept stress management in a great space, I have made sure that I've trained even in different environments and different gyms, and I've still been able to create great progress. So if anyone's telling you that you can't do it all, you can. You just got to have that one desire to do it. But today we'll run over 3 main lifts that I use or have used as part of my glute development that you can do in any gym, and we'll go through them today. So stay tuned because we'll be in for some treats. Exercise number 1 for developing huge glutes. My king and number 1 will be the thrusts. I do give them all of their, what's the word I'm looking for? Respect? I guess that's the word. As to why I have bigger glutes. Because I didn't used to do them right. I used to do them with heavy weight, but not to the point where I was isolating as much glute as possible. We know because it's a compound lift, your quads work a lot, your adductors work a lot, and your glutes work a lot. Get actually a lot of work through your core on a hip thrust as well, if you do it right. But the main important muscle that is working is your glutes. And that in itself is why this, for me, as a compound lift, this is the best lift that you can do and get strong with. So when it comes to the hip thrust, if you're in a class like wellness, figure, etc., it's fine to use different muscles more so than if you do bikini. If you do bikini, you've got the muscle to shed because you're a first timer. You don't need to worry about this too much, just about doing an actual thrust. If you're a bikini competitor that's a little bit more advanced and you do find that other areas develop quite easy, your quads and your adductors, you will have to at some point be very careful as to how you do a hip thrust and how much range you actually get. You want enough that the glutes work, but not too much that then other muscles start taking over. So for me, because of I have the mass that I want really in my quads and my adductors, but not really in my glutes. And am I saying that the quads and the adductors aren't going to get something out of it? Absolutely not. But if I minimize my range to a certain degree to get enough out of my glutes, but not out of everything else, it's going to be ideal, a more complete, good glute movement for me. So what I think about, I keep my chin on my chest, I keep my chest in. Often you find a real common mistake with thrusts is that you get a lot of girls that go, because they get the arching and swinger sets. You want to think about keeping it all still. Your chest comes with you as you come down, and then you roll up. The range of motion is probably about 30-40 centimeters down, and then you go up. If you're going even deeper, knees start moving a little bit more, quads, adductors, etc. start working more. Again, just to reiterate, I am not saying that they don't work anyway. And then you want to think about getting as much hip drive up. You get a lot where you get the swinging and then you get the hips up, but the hips are like so far away from where the straight line would be if you were to draw a line from your chest all the way through to your knees. You want to think about hips rolling through. I like to say to my clients, imagine you've got a couple of nuts between your cheeks and you're trying to squeeze them and crack them like a monkey with some nuts. Squeeze, drive, fold, repeat. It's so simple, but butchered so often. We do need to make sure that your feet are directly under your knees, your knees too much forwards and backwards, less glutes, and then just aiming to essentially get strong. If you want massive glutes, You need to get strong. If you don't get strong, you will not have massive glutes, unless you are a female that develops glutes anyway, but get them lean, strip every bit of fat away. What are you left with? That's how much glute mass they do have. So do them right, do them well, get strong with them, use intensity. That's how you grow a glute. The reason you aren't growing your glute is because you're trying to chase pump on something like this. So think about a leg press, a hack squat, a shoulder press. Are you chasing a pump when you do the shoulder press? Are you chasing a pump when you do the leg press? Are you chasing getting after it, getting strong? Answer. Standing face is trying to get strong. That's right. Exactly the same thing as a hip thrust. It is a compound lift. It is not an isolation. Stop trying to chase a pump. You'll probably feel more of a pump on the glute kickback, more towards the end of the set. If you're not getting quite at the start, don't worry about it. You will towards the end. This movement's not about chasing a pump. They will feel worked after. But if you do your form right, if you can get after it, you will build muscle. Stop trying to chase the pump. That is why you're not building glutes. So my last set, my rep range is 6 to 8. My last set I got 10. Use common sense, not because you're supposed to do a top set and a back off. If I was to have gotten 10 reps, so 2 reps above my rep range, would you, as yourself, add more weight, keep it the same, reduce load? From a common sense perspective, why would you drop weight when you've already gone above your rep range? You go with the same weight. If that means then you fall in that rep range of your first set, epic. Means next time you write down in your logbook, okay, next time on that top set, I can go for a progression with load. Don't need to reduce it down just because it's classed as a back off. Keep the weight the same. Try and aim to get those top set reps in the first set reps. Get after it, get strong, use the cones. Do this hybridly in many different places. You can do a slip machine hip thrust, you can do a barbell hip thrust on a normal bench, so many different things. The form aspect stays the same. Second exercise for building huge glutes, a version of a hip hinge. I'm going to be vague. You could do an RDL. You could do an SLDL. However, you are going to use your hamstrings if you do it well more than you will your glutes. So I'd probably, between the two, choose an RDL. You can do a hyperextension for glutes. So this is a great movement, or just a standard conventional deadlift. Like I said at the start, if you're someone who actually has zero muscle, zero density, which like if you have just started your journey, unless you are someone that's come from either a previous sport or you're a bit of a genetic marvel, you're probably not going to have any density. So a standard deadlift would probably be pretty decent for you. If you're going to go down the route of a class, something like bikini, eventually at some point you don't really want very powering erectors, because when you're in your front pose, you don't want to see the protraction on the wrong part of your body coming from the erector. So something like hyperextension, which is still low back loading but just not quite as intense, it's a great option. So yeah, for me, I'm going to do it as a glute focused hyperextension where I will keep a slight bend in my knee. I turn my toes out slightly, and I still very much like an RDL, drive with my hips forwards and back to be able to create the movement up and down. People have the really bad habit of going up and down just with their chest. RDLs, hyperextensions, if you do that, you are just using your erectors. So we want to, yes, use them. You're going to use them anyway because you are racing with the weight in front of you. But you want to minimize it as much as possible, especially on a lift like this, to aiming to keep a slight flexion with your spine, aiming to really lead with the hips backwards and forwards, driving those hips through aggressively, not just leading with the chest. More glute, less erector. If you do it for hamstring bias, which some of you might want to, again, I am talking about glutes, you just keep your leg a bit straighter, and that will help you work your hamstring more than your glutes. On a lift like this, I honestly don't think that you can go very heavy. Maybe there's some exceptions to the rule for some people, but honestly, when I try to really load it, I struggle to find that my knees can stay bent, meaning obviously you're going to get more hammy. So try not, yes, get stronger with it, yes, add reps, but do take your time with it, because something like a side lateral, imagine how long that takes you to build up the strength with it. Try and see this lift a little bit like that, because the load can get there, but you're just going to have to take your time. Otherwise, you will break down with form. You'll likely use muscles that you don't want to use. Which takes me to another point. If you're a developed bikini competitor, you don't want a lot of adductor. And we know with any hip hinge, RDL, SLDL, hip thrust, much like the erector issue that we spoke about, adductor issue is probably going to become a thing as well, which is likely why you see a lot of bikini girls at some point just doing kickbacks. or just lighter weight movements for higher reps, just because they're trying to keep all the work into their glutes, trying to isolate even if it's compound. Anyway, we don't need to think about that because you're trying to add mass. This is a great lift. Just try not to go too heavy too quick, because it is a movement that will break down. It's actually quite hard. I do think it's a very good accessory lift for an RDL. So if you do find that you struggle with an RDL, especially to trust that movement of hips back to be able to create the chest down rather than just folding, I find that people find it hard to do that, and they just do that. So it's a great lift to have that confidence because you've got something there as a stability back to like the pad. So do this lift, even do it as like a little warm-up, feel it, and it'll actually probably help even with your RDL. Right, exercise number 3 that I use to help develop my glutes is lunge variation. So I love a split squat, especially contralateral split squat, where this is for glutes, where you hold one hand with the dumbbell, the opposite leg working, aiming to keep your shin vertical. Your knee travels over your toes. On a knee lunge, any squat, you will bias work your quads more. If you keep your knee above your foot, so not travelling forwards, and it still come up and down, you will work your glutes more. The range of motion also is a little bit lesser, so I only come to around 90 degrees with my range of motion. If you're someone that's not really built any density, you're okay to go with full range, but if you're someone who's trying to really just capitalise on one area because the rest developed how you need to, then yes, limiting range of motion is probably going to be good. We also have a reverse lunge like I'm doing today. You can even do a walking lunge, not again letting the knees travel forwards, we're doing a more glute focused walking lunge. I think it's a king movement when it comes to building the glutes. Any exercise really, or any area of your body part, we all know that unilateral work, so single arm, single work, like one side loading, one exercise at least in a session is going to help you with developing your glutes. You are going to have imbalances. You can work one side as well as the other. It is going to help you bring up body parts, and especially if it's a lagging body part, having something of a unilateral version, a side lateral, a row, trying to think something else, a rear delt fly, a single leg press, a split squat for quads, it's going to be helpful with developing your physique. So for me today, my unilateral glute focused lunge / squat variation is a reverse lunge on the split. We'll go through that in a moment when I've done my working set. Firstly, if you're wondering where my outfit is from, it's Tevier, and I have recently joined their team. Please, if you want to support me and get some really nice clothes, you know me, I wouldn't work with a brand that I didn't click with. And I've seen their clothes, I've worn their clothes, and I was very honoured when they approached me to be able to work with them, which is incredibly nice. I think people often, and I get the question, how do I get a sponsor? And first of all, you need to probably have a profile on socials that allows for you to look marketable. So if you can build that and be authentic, like I am just myself, I'm kind, I'm happy-go-lucky, you meet me, I will give you anything in terms of advice, answer any questions. If you can just be you and build that up over time, things will happen. So don't try going and looking for it, commit to building you, and that's what's going to help on the flip side of things. Reverse lunge. So I'm here, I want it to come up and down, yes, but I don't want my knee to travel forwards. I want it to stay above my foot as I travel down. So I put my block, whether it be a step box or the bumper plate like I have today, in a position where when I'm trialing my warm-up sets without any weight on the bar, that as I'm coming up and down, my knee isn't travelling forwards. I have my centre of mass over my working leg, but because of the position of my foot when I come up and down, my shin isn't traveling forwards. So using your platform as a guide for each time you then go to do your working set will mean that you'll have your foot in a position where you know as you start to get to work, the knees are going to travel forwards. The other thing I like to do on a reverse lunge or a contralateral split squat, like we spoke about at the start, is I twist my hips slightly towards my working side as I come down. It creates more stretch on the muscle that I'm trying to work, my glute, meaning it works harder. As I mentioned at the start of this little ramble, I never put my back leg weight on my back leg. I get my center of mass by feeling my toes, my heels, all my surface areas on that front foot before I even start. The back foot is just there as a guide. It comes up and down with me. It's there just so that I feel stable. There's some weight going through it, yes, but nothing much, just enough for me to feel stable. Core tight, range of motion to 90 degrees, pause, drive. What do we do to get big glutes? Get strong. If you want big glutes, I promise you, to grow muscle, it is really hard. It takes a lot to grow muscle. So don't be worried about going to the gym and getting bulky just by going and getting strong, because if that ever happens, you can just scale back down. But going and getting strong will help you build a physique that you're proud of in terms of strength, good glutes, etc. It's powerful. Get after it. Last real lift. Yes, I only do 4 exercises for glutes. I do a kickback at the end. I'm not going to call it an exercise, and I'll go through it obviously, but it's floppy, isn't it? Let's be honest. It's not like a hard-hitting movement. It is fluffy. And no bikini girl who just has to do the majority of their sessions that because they've got their density everywhere else would even have an issue with anybody saying that, because essentially if they could train how they wanted to with real intensity, I'm sure that they'll all do it after they finish competing. They would, because they love to train, but the goal requires something else, right? So last compound lift for me. If I'm at home, I usually do a leg press. Now this lift is nothing like a leg press, so I'm not saying that they even compare. Basically, exercise. So because I am here and I have the liberty of using it, it is literally my favourite machine. So please let me off. I'm going to be using the Booty Builder. See, I say it's like a stood-up hip thrust. Cuba says it's a version of a Hyperextension, which essentially it is, but it's a stood-up hip thrust. I was still going with that one. It's fantastic because it is literally all glute. It's minimal / zero lower back. It's fantastic. I mean, I'm sure people have probably had their say about the booty builder stuff before in the past. It's fantastic. The pin loaded one, the plate loaded hip thrust, this one, the ones that I use in Romania, if you go back and watch those videos, absolutely fantastic. Like, they are built so well, especially for bikini girls, you know, like we say, they don't want to be using a lot of their back and everything else, so it's good for them. Anyway, essentially go back to the first exercise, like hip thrust, think about them pointers and then just put it into this. Last exercise, glute med kickback. I trialed on my first set the variation that I did with Carrie the other day. I didn't like it. She's probably just got way more glutes than me to be able to feel it. I'm just going to have to go back to the old ball and chain, just standard glute med kickback. So I stand onto the cable. I let my working leg drive in front of my non-working leg to get a really nice squeeze. I keep my upper leg slightly to the front of my hip line, and I drive my foot out, dragging it along the floor and up as far as it can go without my hips moving or arching. As soon as that happens, less glute tension. Core tight, hips neutral, just drive the leg up so that we can use this part of the glute. I don't have any, so don't look at mine, but look at everybody else's that I coach. Unfortunately, I think mine ceased to exist. I think when I came out of the womb, it fell off. So I think I'm just training it for no reason. Oh well, we'll just get a big glute max instead. That is the end of my video, everybody. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you're going to get some big old glutes, or you want some big old glutes, treat it just like any other body part. Don't do pump work, don't do banded work, don't do fluffy work, apart from it's a glute kickback. But it's not super fluffy. Use intensity, get strong, and they'll really grow. I did a class where I needed every single body part. I could not just focus on doing my glutes. Since I've obviously come away from my glutes, I say that my glutes are shit. Like, my glutes aren't terrible. They weren't terrible. On stage at the Olympia, they look great. It's just that they weren't as big as other body parts. Now I've taken a bit of a step away from competing, and I have the ability to just focus on that, so everything else can essentially be forgotten about for some time whilst it downsizes, apart from my quads and my hamstrings and my adductors. Anything apart from my lower body. They've grown so much more. So, you know, when you're competing, I'm not going to say that you're limited in any way, but if you want to make serious change to your physique, you're going to have to take some time away from stage. You're going to have to commit yourself to the body part that you're trying to progress in. It's like when I had a really shit back, because as much as there was areas in my physique that were so flaws, I still had to put a huge focus on my back, because it was simply just like a bikini girl's back with other parts that were a bit more figure-esque. I had to take a lot of time off stage, delve a little bit more deeply into that body part before I could focus a little bit more on others, because it takes time and a lot of work. So don't be afraid to take time to grow if you're a competitor. If you're a girl that just wants to grow her glutes, get after it, get strong. You're not going to get massive, bulky, masculine, whatever you want to call it. If anybody's trying to tell you that you are, they literally have no idea about building muscle at all. Get after it. Love it, enjoy it, and do it for what it is. This is one of my last training sessions before the new year, and it's been a beautiful 2025. I've enjoyed it a lot, so I'm looking forward to much the same in 2026, getting after it, showing you all the lovely jubbliness of what training can do for you mentally, physically, emotionally, career-wise. It's amazing. Get within the fitness industry, enjoy it at your own pace, at your own level, and love it for all of its might. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I'll be back again soon. #glute training. Have you got to the end?